I have my guests seated, and I'm going to introduce them to you in a second. The conversations we're going to have this morning regarding Eat Local Rice campaign, which is where we initiated here at Citi, and we're going to have a conversation about that. We're also going to be talking about the massive power outages that happened yesterday. And then, of course, finally, there's this conversation of the national security taking over the software databases from Soft Tribe. And we're going to talk about that. Right. So my guests are seated. I'm going to introduce you. I have seated on my left, Barbara Asher Ayisi, who is the Deputy Minister of Works and Housing. Good morning, Barbara. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. And you?
I'm fine. I'm well, thank you. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes. And let me also introduce to you Gabriella Tetteh, who is the National Communication Team member of the NDC. Gabriella, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, I'm well, thank you. How's the goings?
Not bad.
All right, fantastic. Well, let's begin to have get into our conversation. Eat Local Rice campaign. The government says that they're going to ban imports of local rice in 2022. Okay, the deputy minister there made that comment there. Now, how feasible is this going to be? Let me start with you, Barbara.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks for such a wonderful opportunity. As a member of Parliament, I'm sure you allow me to say a very good morning to my constituents. Last week was so exciting, and I was very excited as a member of Parliament when His Excellency the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, came to Cape Coast, to Apio Scar, to be specific, to cut the sword for the commencement of inner city routes. So very soon, indeed, Cape Coast is going to be a hub of tourism. So that is good news. And I wish to also thank God, most especially as a country, when we are all singing the same song that we are moving Ghana beyond aid. And so far, so good, with the kind of jobs that we're able to create, with the free senior high school policy, with the teacher training allowances, with our nursing training.
Okay. We understand that your government is doing well.
Yes,
okay.
but I need to, go over and then say it over and over again.
Unfortunately, we don't have
right
too much time
on the
for
head. That is just the intro.
Okay.
So we are going to the main issues.
The intro is very long.
Really? I thought this is really short. We need to prepare the road for our discussion. Thank you. Looking at Ghana and Ghana Beyond Aid, if as Ghanaians we are not proud of what we have, how are we going to move Ghana beyond aid? I am so very excited that we are thinking of how we can, all patronize our locally produced rice. That is good news. And I am expecting that everyone in this country will receive this, with some form of excitement. In the past, I think at a point, people were not excited eating, locally made foods because they felt that sometimes they bought the rice and there were stones and this. But now it goes through a process. Times really have changed. You see, you can't just produce rice and then put it on the market. It goes through a process. And so when we set target that we are in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, we are thinking of banning, foreign rice, where we all would have to patronize our own local rice. I thought we were going to receive that with a lot of joy, because then our local rice is healthy. Then we're going to create jobs. Then health-wise, have you thought of our locally produced rice? Sometimes we feel that, it's not about the taste. People would want to go for the foreign ones, like some of the foreign ones that we often buy. But have we thought about our health? When you are eating, you don't have to think about how sweet it is. Sometimes you have to think about the health, the health benefits. So if you're eating your local rice and One, it's locally produced. You buy in from our own farmers, and our own farmers are going to improve on their sales, and it's healthy. Why not? But of course, in my local dialect, there's a saying that baby ye and a baby say. Once you are thinking of patronizing our own locally produced rice, then what happens to our importers?
Now, what's the day? Is the banner down? So you can't say that.
I don't think.
Let
me tell you,
it's about the taste too.
You see, the taste is good, but when your focus is on the taste, you're not going to do yourself any good.
Okay, so let me just read you.
The focus should be on the health benefits.
Let me just read you something here. The Importers and Exporters Association say that the banning of rice imports in 2022 is not feasible.
Okay.
All right. So the president of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Awingobit, is warning that government's plan of banning importation of rice could cause more harm than good in the short to medium term. He said the solution to boost production and consumption of local rice lies in holistic support to local farmers in terms of cultivation and marketing of the produce. Making his claims on Eyewitness News, Mr. Wingobit expressed fears that the country risks facing severe food insecurity if government overlooks the needed logistical and production assistance. He advised government to critically examine the entire rice value chain before it goes ahead with its intended ban.
But that is in 2022.
Yes, and I quote, he says, "It is not feasible in the sense that we don't want a situation where government will create food insecurity in this country with what they are bringing. If there's no demand, there will be no supply. If we say that in 2022 we'll ban entirely, can we sustain what we are currently producing? We can't sustain what we're currently producing, let alone looking for for surplus, for export." He says that, so we should not just rush and say we are banning. The fear I am having is that the government just can't be making pronouncements. All right. Now, here's the thing. Off the back of what he's saying here, my question to you is, what took you this long? Why did it have to take a private individual to start a campaign like this? And then government jumps on the back of it to now say that 2022 we are going to ban.
Thank you very much. The question is, why did it take us so long? I want us to all know that a lot of people have done a lot of things underground. I remember one member of parliament, Honorable Odum. This, talking about locally produced rice, I mean, everybody knows in parliament that he's a rice master, you see. So there has been a lot of advocacy.
Who's that?
Lot of Honorable Odum.
Okay.
There has been a lot of advocacy, but people haven't come out boldly to say that, no, let us, patronize our own locally produced food. That is why I believe that we have set target. It's not now. Because if we are to ban maybe next year, then we have a limited time. But we have about 3 years or so to ensuring that, we put all the mechanisms in place where, as a country, we'll know that we are ready to produce enough. You see, so when you're talking about as a country, there could be challenges. People might not love to eat our locally produced rice. If you're talking about the fact that we might not be able to produce enough, then what are we saying? Then does it mean that we should remain where we are? So a lot of issues, a lot of advocacy had already gone on underground. But as a government, we feel that it is time we take the bull by the horn and say that let us, thinking about moving Ghana beyond aid, let us patronize our own locally produced rice. If we do not love our own, who should love it?
Okay.
If we do not eat our own food, wear our own, feel proud as Ghanaians that no matter how it tastes, we will take it because it's healthy, then who should patronize our locally produced, rice? So a lot of people, individuals, have actually done a lot of, advocacy, thinking and praying that as a country we'll one day say that enough is enough. I mean, I understand and I acknowledge the fact that, well, it might affect some businesses, but those same people could also invest in a locally produced rice. You see, so before we get to 2023, I am sure that all the mechanisms or all that we have to put in place to ensuring that we produce enough and we also have to think of the perception people have. It's all about perception. Right. As I hear what Ghana has, it's not good. You have to do a lot of, advocacy, talk, encourage people, let them know the health benefits, let them know that, when you go to some countries, in the Asia countries, they are proud of what they produce. Their own clothes, their own food. So if we do not love what we want, nobody will patronize it. So by 2020 or 2022, I'm sure would have been well, prepared to roll out that policy.
Gabriella,
what's up?
What do you make of this? First of all, the sudden. Well, yeah, I say sudden.
Is it sudden?
Because it's relative to, in chronological terms, it looks like it's a sudden explosion of a sudden desire, to go, particularly the rice issue, and then now the importers and exporters also saying that what the government's intention is to ban by 2022 is actually not a practical thing that you're suggesting.
Okay, so I want us to go back a bit because this issue actually borders a lot on domestic production, meeting demand. During the NDC era, we had a program called the Ghana Commercial Agricultural Project program. Now, it took some value chains to see how we could invest in those value chains to maximize jobs, economic viability, foreign exchange benefits, and all that. And one such value chain was the rice value chain. So we had the Ghana Rice Development Strategy, 2009 to 2018, which is a Ministry of Agric implemented project to ensure domestic production of rice. In 2009, we had 30% production capacity for domestic production of rice.
2009.
In 2009. As at 2015-2016, we had increased it to 56% self-sufficiency in local rice production. This was done in conjunction with development partners, USAID, GIZ, JICA, which helped develop the strategy in the first place.
Not to cut your train of thought, but are you saying that 52% capacity, which means that if we were to completely block...
we'll have rice production enough to fill that space.
Enough to fill that space,
yes.
of 52%.
But as population increases, I wanted to finish on where the strategy was before I go to population increase and taste and preferences. So by 2015-2016, we had up to 56% capacity. Now, this is production capacity. Smallholder farmers producing rice, mostly in rural northern Ghana and some in the Volta region. We had about 2 or 3 operational rice mills, milling facilities, which were old. Aveima is one of them. There's another one in Tamale, forgotten what the third one is. So if we're going to engender production of rice, we need to find processing facilities for them. We need to find storage facilities, distribution facilities to deal with the glut that comes with it. So the strategy then was moving to the next phase. Let's look at processing and value addition to rice processing. So as at 2012, she hurt herself. As at 2012, we had 5 mills. We had 5 mills operating in the country to process local rice. Fast forward 2016, 2017, we now increased that capacity to 11 mills. Under the NDC era, what we also did was that as these mills produce the rice, there has to be an off-taker. So the big rice importing companies like Olam, CCTC, I think CIC, Winco, all of them were buying local rice and also producing, adding value and selling on the market. But we were not exposed to it, to a lot of the local production, because it's consumed mainly in the rural areas.
Okay.
So we in the urban areas, our taste preferences, the imported rice.
Okay.
So you see a lot of it on the market here. But in the rural communities, you see a lot more local rice.
Oh, I see.
So as in the urban areas, population is increasing, taste and preferences, people's incomes are improving, the demand for foreign taste expands.
Yeah.
Whereas in the domestic end, where I'm referring to the rural end, they also have theirs also increasing. So both are expanding.
Okay.
All right. There's a local production and there's an import production.
Okay. But then, I mean, again, not to cut you short, but then the situation in the urban areas, is it not because of a certain vacuum?
I'm coming there.
Okay.
Because we're going to merge the two at some point. And that's why what you guys are doing is very, very important to the rice value chain. So with time, companies like Winco started introducing, I think theirs was called Diapa or something.
Okay.
From 2015. They started introducing it to the local markets. They advertise it all over the place for people to show interest in local rice.
Okay.
It's very affordable. The taste is not as bad as people
make it out
because it depends on which type you buy.
Yeah.
There are also varying degrees in local produced rice.
Is a very important
you'll find it
point
in
to
the
make.
imported rice as well. Long grain, mid, short, perfumed. The choices are many. So you choose what you want.
Yeah.
Now, where's the inference? So, as domestic production increases, imports also increases. Because, you know, there's a very strong rice import
cartel
chamber. You know, very active one.
Okay.
That's also lobby group, exactly.
Yeah.
We call them lobbyists.
Yeah.
Who also want to maximize gains.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Ghana spends 1.5 billion to import rice. And from 2009 to 2015, we've actually improved our production capacity to over 400,000 metric tons. Compare that to, we're doing almost half of what imports is. Imports are almost a million metric tons. So we are not at par yet. There's still a deficit in matching the market. But again, it's a question of market forces and preferences. What you guys are doing, I think, is very revolutionary. Because the challenge with local rice producers is that the marketing is not as strong as the importers' marketing strategies. I mean, they're all over the place. They're on radio, they're on TV, they're in the print media, they have billboards splashed everywhere. How many local rice products do you see exposed like that? They don't have it. With the planting of food program coming on board, it increased production capacity of domestic rice to now also over 1 million metric tons. Unfortunately, with the Planting for Food and Jobs program, although they focused a lot on production, they were low on storage, distribution, marketing. So that is what caused the glut in the system that we had. In the north, you have millers who have produced rice. Unfortunately, they can't sell because the demand is not there. They now need some exposure to get the product out. Market information.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking to this the gentleman from Avnash in Tamale, who the Tamale Nyankpala Road. They were saying that even though they were getting it from the outgrower farms, they at the point they had to stop because what they had already produced was still there and not moving.
Exactly.
So, well, I think that for me, my question will be more of how do we drive the campaign even further beyond where we are?
So that is why what Samens is doing is very radical, and we have to support it, because I think that the exposure alone, when he mentioned that we have to support local rice and the patriotism, the nationalism that Ghanaians showcased, that we want to be part of this process was enough to get people interested in local rice production. I mean, I didn't even know that there were like over 10 brands of local rice now.
I didn't know either.
But now we know, so going to Christmas, is that I think that just a caveat. We have to let it's a shame Barbara had to go, but we have to get the president to make sure that this Christmas, all the rice that are going to be distributed in our name, what will be paid by our taxes, has to be Ghana rice. We must insist that happens. Now, how do we bridge domestic demand with local production? Because there's still a lot of work to do, and a lot of it has been driven by demand and market forces. Taste is an issue, because a lot of people have still not acquired the taste for local rice.
No. But, Gabriella, having said that, I think that we had last Friday, it was an experiment of sorts, right? We had a feast of different types of rice. Okay, so we had jollof rice, turmeric rice, plain rice, right here at Citi. My thinking and from the experience that I had that day was that there's literally no difference in taste in terms of, and I'll borrow a term from Samens. He says, like for like. So if it's jasmine rice versus jasmine rice, the taste is exactly the same. So for me, this is where, I stand. But look, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and we'll continue the conversation, all right? So let's take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. And unfortunately, one of our guests had to leave us. She's had a little bit of a medical emergency, so she's gone. We will continue without her, but I'm sure she'll be fine. Let me just read a few messages that have come through. Good morning, Citi TV. The ban on rice importation is a normal move to promote agenda, eat, drink, and wear made in Ghana goods. But the question to Mr. President this morning is he going to walk the talk this time round? Because we are currently borrowing... okay, it's a bit of a confused message at this point, so let me just continue. The next one says, good morning. My greetings to your panelists in the studio, especially Gabriella. It's good to promote the consumption of local rice. We must also take time to educate our rice farmers on the time of harvesting and also post-harvest treatment given to the harvested rice. I just pray this advocacy for the rice consumption is not just another flash in the pan. This is Yao from Accra. All right. So, Gabriella, as we were saying, for me, it's interesting, though, the fact that the local rice consumption was already taking place in the rural areas, but it's now...
About 20% urban.
But 20% urban.
20% urban.
Okay. But maybe you could say that the peri-urban areas would account for that, But I think that the quote-unquote modern social media world in Ghana seems to have now caught on to that, and it seems to be driving it. How important is this demographic to the entire story?
Well, currently we have, if we use the mobile penetration data, if that's anything to go by, we have over 70-80% data-driven people on social media. So that alone is a big exposure. But the question is, it's one thing to project something, and there's also the actual and what's reality, and whether you actually patronize the product. That is where I think that we have to make a conscious effort. We have to make a deliberate effort to procure Ghana rice and to eat Ghana rice at all levels. If we're going to sustain the industry, and that's why I intentionally took you back from 2009 to explain how far this industry has come. This is over 12 years creation, and I think that by and large, it has some challenges, all right, but I think that for the 12 years, we've done quite some good job trying to build that capacity locally. And it's important that we do that and achieve self-sufficiency in rice. But back to the important exporters' concerns. They import certain capacity because for local demand. If we are pushing for domestic rice consumption, the thing is for us to match production to equalize what is imported, or at least meet it 80%, and then we can reduce it by 20%.
Okay.
For what's imported rice. But is it achievable by 2020?
2022.
2022. I have my doubts, because for us to grow it over the 10-year period to come to 56% capacity already took us almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Planting for Food and Jobs has done tremendously well to expand production.
Okay.
But as I said earlier, production is one thing. You also have distribution, storage, warehousing, marketing, sales, final consumer.
But Gabriella, is it not also possible that the truth is that because there wasn't a certain apparent drive, being championed from, let's say, the urban areas in terms of demand, it also meant that the production end, or the farming end and the production end, had to go at its own organic, slow pace.
It is true.
Yeah. So then, with this now, maybe now there'll also be interest in investment.
In investments, and also for it to be sustained. Citi also, since you're taking this project up, you also have to make sure that you consistently drum it in over a period. You can't slow the process down.
No, we're not about to.
Because if you do, we'll relax again.
Yes, I know.
So you have to keep drumming it down, especially going into Christmas. And there's going to be so much demand for rice for Christmas. We have to keep pushing it down that this time don't do imported rice, do local rice, do local rice, do local rice.
Well, we're having a big event
as
well on the 14th and 15th. It's called Christmas Made in Ghana.
Okay.
Yes, it's going to be at a
first time hearing it.
Aviation Social Center. So it's going to, and everything there, all the way from the proteins to the carbs to veggies, everything is going to be locally produced, locally procured.
I'll come.
Yeah, so I think it's important. Yeah,
I'll come. We have to keep driving the agenda with your radio, because your radio also has a lot of network across.
Yes,
and just keep drumming it down. I mean, that one. If you look at production of rice, it is centered a lot in Volta and the north, not down south.
Okay.
So that market information relay is critical to get the masses down south. And the population is actually in the south. Okay. To get the masses down south, to patronize it. Whichever way you can get the message out, it has to go out.
Yeah.
And you have to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it till it becomes part and parcel of us. Okay. And then when the preference falls for the imported rice, the importers themselves will have no choice, because they've already built their distribution, will have no choice than to go for local rice and also start distributing local rice to keep their own businesses.
Okay. So, no, but that's actually quite excellent. So, to say that you already have your distribution network, instead of bringing it from outside, pick it from the millers here and feed it into your distribution network. Fantastic. Let me read a quick comment here. Hello, David. Some of the local rice, especially the brown ones, are without brands and without the FDA logo. Please, as we are being encouraged to eat our rice, let the authorities also ensure that our rice meets the right standards. This is coming from someone called Cooks. Yeah. So I think that's a very,
that comment.
Yes, please, jump in on that.
In the rice value chain, as I mentioned earlier, you have small household farmers and small household millers, small entrepreneurs. I have some thousand, I want to do something for myself. Then I start my own small rice production. They are the ones you usually find unbranded and without any standard and FDA.
But I've seen quite a lot of those, spread around.
There are a lot.
Yeah.
When you go into the entrepreneurial ecosystem, there are a lot of small, micro enterprises before you get to the big companies like the Winkos and the Olams and all that. They have ISO certification for production, all these standards. So they maintain those. So it's your choice. You choose to go for the big brands that maintain standards and food and drugs certifications. Or you can decide to patronize a little guy who is also starting out and wants to make his living and say, well, I want to support the little guy. So
no, but should we not also teach the little guy, so to speak, that they need to do this? How much will it affect their bottom line at the end of the day?
Doing certification is not that easy. Because when you go through the processes, first you're going to go for standard certification. Okay. I don't know how much it is for rice, but I know that food is about 1,000. From your standard certification, you have within 6 months. You have to get your EPA.
Yeah.
You have to get town and country planning certification. You have to get, there's a third one. all of them. And all these agencies also have to have their own approval systems. Before you then take all that information to Food and Drugs, for them to also now assess you and now give you certification. So that process drags, and it's expensive, especially for businesses in the micro sector. So a lot of them always cut corners. We have to find a way of minimizing the bureaucracy in getting standards for micro enterprise. I think that's how we're going to encourage that ecosystem to grow.
Yeah.
Because it's too expensive and too bureaucratic, too cumbersome.
Yeah, no, I think it's important.
We kill the businesses too early.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there should be a 360, mindset of how to make our businesses survive. Just a little.
The startup ecosystem is very tough as it is.
Yeah. All right, let's go to talk about the ECG outages that happened yesterday. Is it the return of Doomso? Is it Gridco's threat to go on strike? What is going on here? Let me read a story from citinewsroom.com. It says ECG blames widespread power outage on technical challenges. The Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, has blamed the widespread blackout on Tuesday evening on technical challenges. According to the company, the said challenges were beyond its control. Parts of Ashanti, Eastern and Northern regions were plunged in darkness on Tuesday, November 26th. Many Ghanaians took to social media to express their frustration with the loss of power in their homes. A statement from the ECG said that although the development is regrettable, it's working to restore power within the shortest possible time. And I quote, the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited wishes to inform its customers who are experiencing power outage this evening, 26th November 2019, that the outage is due to a technical challenge upstream. Customers should please note that the situation is beyond ECG's control. However, immediately the challenge is resolved, the power will be restored to all affected areas. The inconvenience is very much regretted. All right. Information available to Citi News indicates that Gridco's transmission line to Ivory Coast suffered an unexpected mishap, which affected supply of power in the country. In the northern part of the country, NETCO also reported a challenge resulting in a complete outage at the Tamale bulk supply point, where the entire Tamale Township and its environs are supplied with power. Electricity supply has been inconsistent in most parts of the country in recent times due to different challenges, including recent rainstorms. All right. So what do you make of yesterday's in particular?
I think we should cut them some slack.
Really?
Because yesterday, what actually happened yesterday?
Somebody said they missed PDS already.
I know, right? What happened yesterday was they were transmitting 100 megawatts to Cote d'Ivoire. No, we export to Cote d'Ivoire. And Cote d'Ivoire also exports their power to Mali.
I see.
So when Cote d'Ivoire was transmitting to Mali and Ghana was transmitting to cover that space for Cote d'Ivoire, in the transmission, the power to Mali tripped and returned back to Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire then sent back Ghana's power back into Ghana.
Yeah.
But the system is designed such that when there's a surge, the plants go off.
It will go off, yeah.
So that really is what happened. And there's nothing anybody in Ghana could have done about it.
Okay.
So long as it was transmitting back into Ghana. I think it was even better than to have our plants explode than to have the system shut down.
Yeah, that's probably what
we should just count our losses like that and just move on with it.
So there's no need for concern.
Not for yesterday's one.
Not for yesterday's.
But I mean, since PDS left and ECG came back, they sent us signals that they are back.
Okay, so but there's nothing to be worried about. We shouldn't be concerned.
Not about this.
As far as you know.
As far as I'm concerned about what happened yesterday. It happens. It's a technical hitch that happens. They couldn't have controlled anything from the system from Cote d'Ivoire to Mali. Their system is locked into Cote d'Ivoire. So what happens between Cote d'Ivoire and Mali is not Ghana's issue. So if in the transmission Mali returns the power, it's either Cote d'Ivoire returns power back to you or what are they going to do with the power? And they've also programmed their transmission as if we don't need it, you go back.
Well, I mean, it's a fail-safe system, so I guess it's a way to protect ourselves. Well, let's go into the last story. National Security raids Softribe Limited's office over tussle with Ghana Water Company Limited. I'm going to read that story real quick, and then we just have a quick comment on that, and then we can move on. Some operatives of the National Security on Monday raided the offices of a local IT firm, Softribe Limited, reportedly to secure the database of the Ghana Water Company Limited. Citi news sources at the National Security said the operation followed a complaint by the water company that the IT firm was deliberately preventing them from accessing the database. According to sources at the National Security, Softribe Limited was holding the database, which are critical for billing customers, to ransom after Ghana Water Company Limited served notice that it will not renew its contractual relations with the firm. The Ghana Water Company Limited said it wanted to secure the data, which it said is sensitive. National Security said a court order was obtained and officials, including IT experts, were dispatched to Softribe to secure the data. Quote, the databases are now safe and commercial risks to Ghana Water Company Limited have been contained, the source said. A technical director of the company, David Kwamna Bolton, in an interview with Accra-based Joy FM, said phones and other electronic equipment of the company staff were seized in the process, alleging that the supposed court order presented by the officials were neither signed nor sealed. What do you make of all this?
I know Softribe personally.
Yes.
Some years ago, I used to be head of business development at STC.
Okay.
And I tried engaging them for a ticketing software. So I know how they develop their systems. They are one of the best local IT firms you can find.
Yeah.
They are also, I want to use a local expression that we all understand. They're also one of the most understandable IT firms.
I see.
Because a lot of state enterprises actually don't have that kind of money to procure expensive softwares.
Okay.
So what Softribe offers you is a partnership. That, okay, we'll provide the solution, we'll build it, and then we'll charge a service charge on it.
Yeah.
So they always come into a partnership with you. That's not the first time they developed software for any project in Ghana. They used to run the Akotia software run by
the payroll
system. They were running it. Other systems. Since they came into this Ghana Water Company arrangement, haven't you yourself seen improvement in your billing system?
Well, yes.
I mean, there were times that the bill would take 3 months before it comes, and then they've piled so much for you that you look at your bill and you're like, am I going to pay half or I'm going to pay the whole thing?
Yeah.
You know, just inconvenience customers. Since then, they've built a very robust system. I get my bill by text before the actual bill comes.
Wow.
I have an option to pay by mobile money once I see it.
Okay.
So it's very convenient. It's on time.
Yeah.
And the company ends up getting more revenue.
Yes.
Question is, you've been in this partnership for so many years, so why do you want to chicken out now? I think there's more to it than meets the eye.
You smell a rat?
I smell a big rat.
Wow.
Because let me show you how the Softribe system works. When they come into partnership with you, they build new service. There's a backup server always in their office to make sure there's always this. I'm not an IT person. How do you call that? When you are not physically present at a place, but you can operate it remote something. They can do that kind of thing to fix your problems without actually having to. They have your backup there. Should anything happen to the real service? So they always provide you that
which is important.
Which is important. Apart from the fact that they improve the billing system for you, they've also given you mobile money components to it. You have your app to it. There's convenience to your customers. You get your revenue. Softribe's issue, from what I gather, is that they didn't anticipate that the company will revoke the contract preterm because apparently they've been approached as a partnership, Ghana Water and Softribe as a partnership, by other African countries as well, West African ECOWAS countries as well, including Nigeria Water,
I see.
on how to develop a system just like what Ghana Water has.
Yeah.
You know, so Soft Tribe found it strange that out of the blue, we will not renew this contract. Will this, and Soft Tribe also, from what I heard yesterday, has not been able to cover the cost of producing the system, not to speak of even turning a profit.
I see.
So I think it's unfair to revoke that contract. If the company has developed a solution that is working and it meets the expectations of the customer,
yeah.
Obviously, there will be people, you know, when there is political interference, there's always somebody who also has a solution and wants to get inside.
Yeah.
I heard that the reason why software locked the Ghana Water service was because they had prior knowledge that somebody was developing their system just like what they have developed for Ghana Water.
Okay.
It's infringement of copyright.
Yes.
It's a copyright violation, if that is what. Now, in Ghana, we don't respect those kind of laws. So when Software heard about it, they locked the system as Ghana Water. But they had a back end at their end.
Yeah.
So national security then thinks it's a national security matter. So they go like Rambo style as usual into people's offices and go and intimidate and, I mean...
Yeah. But I find it interesting, though, that David Bolton says that the court order was not signed or sealed.
It's intimidation.
Which is suspicious.
It's intimidation. How else do you describe it? My thing is the software functional? Does it work? Does it serve its purpose?
Yeah.
Are customers complaining? No. Yes. So what's the big deal?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. We've been speaking here on the show. Initially, we're joined by Barbara Ayisi, who's Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, and then also Gabriella Tetteh, who is a National Communication Team member of the NDC. Thank you for watching this segment of